Well, hey guys, I am back. And some of you may or may not have noticed that I had a really interesting picture up in the community post the other day of this. Yeah, it is the fun and perils, like I said, of what we do with this fun knife collecting and owning and carrying and whatever hobby, if you want to call it that. Sometimes there are things that are not familiar to us, or you know what, sometimes shit happens. But I ended up getting cut, and it looked terrible. I'll tell you why it looked so bad in a minute, but this is the beast that did it to me. And some of you might be looking at it going, what is that terrible monstrosity sci-fi, you know, gas station looking thing? And I'll tell you what, it is exactly what I just called it, no matter what it may look like, because some of you might look at it and be like, oh no, that's a very high, you know, expensive. This one is not. So here's the backstory. Are you getting your flashback? Okay. So, a viewer who has not given me permission to name them decided to send me this knife to check out. They thought it was very interesting. They thought the locking mechanism was just incredible. And had this been a real one, it would be. However, they were very upfront. They told me they found this knife on TEMU. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of $10, and they could not help but get it, and they wanted me to check it out and tell them what I thought. So, as soon as I got it, I recognized this shape right away. I knew what it was. And what this is supposed to be is a Quartermaster generally, I believe it's the 11, the QTR-11 CC. Now, if you have not seen this out there, that's okay, because it's weird. It is weird. This thing is another G&G Hawk design, just like the freaking Mantis gearhead that I have 12 of, because they kept coming in every box for like a whole year that I hate. But I will say, you know, G&G Hawk, father and son designers, they come up with some innovative stuff. This has a locking mechanism they call the ET lock, and this one is not it. But what happened was, no, the way it should work is, number one, it should have a flipper that is much bigger than this, because this flipper ain't flipping nothing. No matter how much flip you give it, you're just making your finger sore. But it should flip, and then it opens. Let me see if I can do it with thumb studs. I still have an injured finger here. No, see, this terrible knife doesn't even do it. So what happens is you open it, and as it opens, watch the locking mechanism, boom, and it's locked. And now you get this thing. Now again, this is a cheap imitation, it's a cheap copy. I should show you a picture of what the real one looks like. No fault to the viewer, again, who didn't give me their permission to use their name. They honestly had no idea that this is a copy of a real thing. Here's what the blade looks like. Now, there are some nice grind lines on that blade, right? There's this marking on it, which I don't know what that is. But there we go. One of the telltale signs you can look at to know that this is the fake and not the real thing is that the real one has a tumbled finish. The real one's made of titanium, and this one, I seriously doubt. We'll see what it's made of. But it has either a kind of a brushed metal finish, or a tumbled finish, or a sandblasted finish, whereas this has like this very satiny, kind of almost, well, you know, worse than that, beyond that, even almost like a mirror-y finish to the whole thing. So that should be a dead giveaway right there, if you're kind of wondering. Aside from the blade grind, so the blade shape is kind of accurate, but this is a very hollow grind blade. And when you look at a picture of the real one, you'll see it's not quite it. And by the way, side note, the last time I checked, we all kind of hated Quartermaster as a brand for various reasons. I don't know if they've dug themselves out of that hole. I haven't bought anything by them or even looked into anything by them in a decade maybe. So to release this knife, you squeeze here, and the knife is then able to close. Now, why was this one dangerous and why did it bite me? Bite me knife. Because the real one is a full manual knife. And it can work full manual because it's engineered well and it's built well. This one, because it's lame, has a torsion bar, has a spring in it. And as far as I know, the real one does not have a spring inside of it. It is just all very nicely put together. It's free-flowing. It needs no spring. And so what was happening was I was kind of messing with it. And again, I wasn't expecting it to have a springy back, and it just so it went snip right through the finger. And that's what happened. Now, with this one, what I noticed you can do is open it like that, which I think that the real one does. Well, I got scared there for a second. I think the real one does too. But this is an imitation, like, completely. And it looks cheap to me because it's just it just looks like one, what we would call, here's a word, homogeneous. I know that word from tank armor, mainly, rolled homogeneous armor, RHA, as opposed to composite armor, which is different stuff. But it kind of looks like just one shiny big piece of metal, you know what I mean? It's got this very interesting deep carry clip, which is kind of what the real one looks like. So it's screwed onto one side. And I don't have, by the way, I should say I have seen the real one. I've never put my hands on one. So I don't know if the real clip is reversible left or right. This one is not. And it's a decent retention clip. And this one, let me tell you, I mean, it's sharp all right. Well, right up until there, but I mean, it is super sharp, as evident. I mean, and this thing bled. Now, why did my finger bleed so much when I cut it? Well, again, what happened was I had a killer migraine several hours before, and I took a slightly larger than the recommended dose of Excedrin migraine. Excedrin migraine happens to be, well, nothing more than basically aspirin and caffeine in a single tablet. You may or may not know this. Aspirin has a wonderful blood thinning effect. So it is it prevents clotting. It slows down clotting. It is terrible for anybody with a clotting disorder to take. I had taken, some earlier in the day, and so even though this cut is, want to focus for me, not that big, not that deep, it just gushed. And it took a while for me and Aiden. Aiden was helping me, horrified, thinking I was like bleeding to death. And I was like, trust me, I know it's not as bad as it looks. Just bring me a Band-Aid, bring me a couple. And yeah, so a little bit of direct pressure and ice and elevating took care of it. But this is the little son of a bitch that did it. This guy right here. So almost got me again. It should not have that spring in it that causes it to fly closed like that, as far as I know. This is going to lead us into a whole thing about terrible knives from TEMU. And TEMU, I have found out, I went and looked, like AliExpress, like Wish, is just full of fake knives. Some of them very good in terms of passing for what they're supposed to be. Some of them terrible. And I guess to somebody who's not into the knife world, this would pass. It is, like I said, remarkably sharp with this nice hollow ground blade. How long does this edge last us? God knows, because God knows what kind of steel it's made of. We have no clue. And even if it did list on TEMU, I haven't found this particular knife on TEMU. I don't even know how to search for it, but because I don't know what it's called. Jin Jun Lane. But even if we did know what kind of steel it is, it's not like it's probably even telling the truth. On those websites, you don't even know what you're getting. So here's the one that cut me, and it is a good intro into like looking at just the fake crap that's coming off of TEMU. I've been asked a few times, do a TEMU haul video. I guess that's a popular thing. And I'm like, why? Why would I want to shop on TEMU? I understand there are some things you can get on TEMU that people are very happy with. I have not thought of anything I would want to go look for on TEMU. I just haven't. Maybe we'll take a look at what they're doing in terms of the fake/counterfeit knives and clones, and get some only insofar as so that we can look at them and see how good or bad they are and point out how to recognize their fake. Now, this knife in real life goes for somewhere anywhere between $240 and almost $300. But and they're also, I think they're like, there were limited numbers of each one built, so you know you can find them, but they're stupid expensive. So if you would carry this, let me know. What do you think? What would you carry this around? Would it be interesting? I certainly hope nobody would try to pass it off as the real thing. Not that you could in any credible knife group, but it is different. By the way, you see, here's the other problem. You can't open it like this. You can! Oh my god, you can. I was wrong. I guess that's why they put the spring in there, so you could just take it out of your pocket. Interesting. Wait a minute. So I'm starting to see it now. You grab it out of your pocket. Let's say it's in a pocket. I guess maybe the real G&G Hawk works like that too, with gravity. Lets you do that. But the real G&G Hawk also has a flipper that works and doesn't do this. All right, enough of this thing. So, to who you are who sent me this knife, thanks for giving me an opportunity to look at it. This is all on me. That's my fault. But I will, if you do want your name known, I'll throw it in like a community post. Because there's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, didn't know what this was, and listen, you are helping us out by letting us see that this thing is out here. And we're gonna take a look at it, maybe take the spring out and see how it goes. So, your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm really curious. Thanks for spending a little bit more time with me today. Remember that you guys are all absolutely awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll be back again real soon.